And
Yeah.
it's something that I keep running up against. And
Hmm.
that's the title of this video, is like, I'm not your guru. And
Hmm.
so many people are looking for the lottery ticket in life. Like, I just want to get this and then this will happen in my life. And I've been
Yeah.
there as well. I remember in my football career, I was trying to find the perfect trainer to bring the perfect
Hmm.
exercises where I would suddenly run like a 4.3 and then I get drafted and I'd be wealthy and then everything would
Yeah.
be good, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've come to learn in my life and through
Hmm.
my journey that like there is no end to the journey. It's like everything is a stepping stone. Like I like to use the
Hmm.
analogy of like an upward spiral. And like we're
Yeah, I like
always
that.
going up that spiral
Yeah.
and we're helping people who are a little bit below us, but then there's other people above us who are helping us as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so just talk about that real quick, man, because you know it's a
Yeah.
challenge for so many people because we have the expectation that this is going to be the one thing, and then we get
Right.
disappointed a lot of times when it's not the one thing, even though it's just
Yeah.
part of the journey.
Yeah. You know what I think is interesting? An older man taught me years ago. He said, um, uh, intelligence is vertical, right?
Mhm.
And so he talked about how you can't look at someone like Michael Jordan and say he's not a genius. Obviously there's genius about what he does. And we've heard this kind of illustration by now. It's kind of become colloquial, but it wasn't always like that. And in fact, you can look at our education system and see that it hasn't caught up to that yet. It's assessing people's kind of mental capacity by a very rigid and unmoving standard across the board. It's interesting you talked about the upward spiral, and what that brought up for me was, you know, I like to think of it. I like that illustration, but I also like to think of it like this: like if every single person is on their own spiral, and you visualize a spiral next to yours, think of it as overlapping segments, right? So it's not that you're all on the same spiral and there are people above you and people below you, but that you always have something to offer. This is the beautiful thing about it, is because you always have something to offer, because someone on this spiral might be here, right? But those overlapping layers fit into your spiral like this, so that you may be more advanced in a certain aspect of life here, but they might be more advanced in a certain aspect of life here. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%, dude. And that's like
Yeah.
brings up the mind like community. Like we all need community in our life
Yeah.
because you have gifts that I don't have, and I have gifts that you don't have.
Likewise. Yeah.
But if I'm stuck in my ego, I'm intimidated by your gifts, right? Because
Right.
I don't know my worth and my value.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so if I see, oh, well, Daniel's better on camera than me, like you've got that great like radio voice, and it's like, oh, well, he's better than me, so I can't even start this on my journey. Then that
Yeah.
inhibits me from even going. And that's just a small example, but it's like
Yeah.
I learn more from my clients than I feel like a lot of times I teach as well because
Exactly.
I'm looking
Yeah.
for that as well. So
Yeah.
that kind of the
Exactly.
same thing for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think that that's the thing, is always acknowledging value that you can extract, or the potential of value that you can extract from every experience, from every interaction, every person. And if you have that perspective, then I think it's one of the big things that people miss with coaches, with programs that they do. I'm fond of saying that people don't need a new program, they just need to be reprogrammed. you know because you go into a situation and you expect it to be the thing, it to be the lottery ticket for you, right? And people, instead of looking at a program or an interaction as a building block, as a brick in the building that you're building, that you're constructing, they think of it as the thing they think of it as the door, right? This is supposed to be the thing that fixes all of my issues, instead of looking at every single experience as being kind of cumulative. This experience plus this next experience is going to take me further than I was when I was having this experience. So if you're looking at people doing a health program or something, it's kind of like being in kindergarten. You're not a failure because you haven't hit 12th grade yet. You just haven't hit 12th grade, and everything that they teach you from kindergarten to 12th grade builds on each other. There's these foundational things, these principles, these sort of um, just bricks. So a program you're doing today could be just the beginning. Maybe you learn something there that you take away and pull into the next program, and so on and so forth.
I love that, dude. And I think, and I'd love your take on this. So my take is that we are programmed to have doctors in our life.
Yeah.
Doctor is someone who says, "Hey, Daniel, you hurt your knee, so you need to do XYZ. You need to hit this checklist."
Mm-hmm.
But a coach is someone who comes alongside you and says,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm going up this mountain with you. I'm not going to
Yeah.
just prescribe a
Right.
drug, metaphorically speaking, but we're going to go up this mountain together, and I'm going to help you figure out why you've been held back." And so I think a lot of people, they go to a program, a coach, whatever it is, and say, "This is the prescription. I just need to do bump, 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 my 10 steps, my 5 steps, and then everything's going to be changed. That guru is going to fix me." But they never take ownership of the process. And I feel like that's the missing piece, is the ownership. One of the things in my life I've taken is radical ownership. Like, if something's not what I want, like, it's my fault. It's not anybody else's fault. And so I feel like that's the mentality that a lot of us have to reprogram. Like you said, I wrote that in the notes, like, people don't need a new program, they need to be reprogrammed. But a lot of people are coming into saying, "Oh, hey, Daniel, Nate, whoever, like, give me the steps and then you fix me, but I only fix me, you only fix you." Like, what's your take, man?
So I love what you're saying there, and I know, because you're a former athlete, you really resonate with the word coach and what it really means. And I think you would know this intimately, viscerally, that a coach is like a coach coaching players. You coach players who want to play, right? So the ingredients there are a coach and a desire, right? A desire to play. The way that you talked about climbing up this mountain with you, right? I'm going to climb up with you, but I can't drag you up the mountain, right? That's what a coach is saying, is that, I can go with you and I can help you with the nooks and crannies that you may not have seen before, you may not have expected, and I can show you how to apply the unique gifts that you have and the unique situation of your life, and how that fits with right now and where we can get you to. But I can't take you there, right? I'm going to go with you, so you've got support. I do think that what you were saying about taking ownership is huge, and I like to call it, and I can't call to mind where I got this. It'll come back to me. It'll probably come back to me when we're done on the video. But not just I'm responsible, but I'm the cause. So people looking at a situation that they're in, or even looking at a place they want to be, right? And they're looking at it forward and they're thinking, I'm the cause. I will be the cause of getting there, right? And I am the cause of where I am right now. And anything that happens around me, I am the cause. It's empowering. You know what I mean? It's not, when I think of it that way, it's not burdensome, like, oh, it's my fault, or, but to your point, the responsibility, right? If you're responsible, then that means that you also have the power to change it. A kid isn't responsible for a lot of things. Like, they're not responsible for wandering out in the street and getting hit. We're responsible because we have power, and they lack that level of awareness, right?
I always like to say it, and I heard this from someone as well, so I can't take credit for it, but it's not your fault, but it is your fight. It's like, what happened to you isn't your fault. It could have been completely out of your control, but it happened, right? And you have to take ownership of it. And I guess this kind of brings us on another topic of, like, if that stuff does happen in your life, like, how do you get over it, right? I believe, for me, it's ownership first and foremost, or we call it victimhood, right? If we're in victimhood, we're saying, "Oh, it's your fault. It's this." I used to do this in my football career. Well, if so-and-so coach had made a call for me or whatever, I would have been here, blah, blah, blah. No, it's my fight. Like, I can only control what's, like, in my hands right now. But if that's the case, okay, something has happened outside of your control, but it's happened to you. Like, what's your step, or what's your, I guess, advice or coaching points to someone to help get rid of, not get rid of the event, but get rid of the emotional attachment to the event.
Yeah. I got to have you on my page so we can talk about this stuff
Okay,
too. But
done. Let's do it.
so, man, I think it gets back to what we were saying a second ago about cumulative life, right? And cumulative experiences, because I think often when we look at, I read in a book years ago. Do you ever read that book, The Shack?
Oh yeah, I saw the movie, didn't read the book.
Okay, so I haven't seen the movie, but and I'm not a book reader. Like, I don't read a lot of books, but what I loved about, there was a point in the book where one of the characters was saying that how human beings are so quick to label something as good or bad. And really what we mean is that it was good for us individually, specifically, or bad for us individually, specifically. And so when you look at an example like that, like you gave, you lose the game, or a call doesn't go your way. You're Human beings are very, I think, in there's a discussion going around about people lacking presence, but there's something in my mind about the reality of the existential condition of a human being that makes us very present all the time. There's a lack of awareness about that presence and what it means, all the time, but we're present with what's happening right now, in so much as people aren't often looking at something like that, like a misfortune like that happening, and it being anything beyond a result in that moment. So this is the result, like this is the end. This is because I can't see the future. This is where I'm standing right now, right? So it's a negative experience instead of looking at it as cumulatively. And it's interesting because I just told a guy last night, we were talking, he was talking about some struggles he's having and some very deeply personal, damaging, addictive stuff. And he just kept talking about how, he was having trouble overcoming this thing. And I just told him, like, man, the thing is, we bonded over the fact that right now he's working in a warehouse, and I'm 22 years older than he is. And I told him, yeah, man, I used to work in a warehouse and I was about the same age as you. It's a tough job, isn't it? Like, it's hot, summertime, I work 5 or 6 hour shifts. And I told him, you know what? I never slept better in my entire life. Like, after that shift. And so we kind of bonded over that. And I was telling him, man, you're looking at this stuff that you're dealing with right now as this insurmountable, this thing that only you have to carry. But the fact is, like you and I have both heard, that has been said to us, this thing that you're dealing with isn't for you, right? It's not for you. It's to help somebody else. I didn't know 22 years ago, when I was working at UPS, that I was going to meet a dude about the same age and encourage him to take advantage of that job. Like, it's a good opportunity to get some sleep, to work hard and know what that feels like. I didn't know that was going to happen. It just sucked at the time. I didn't know. Now I know. You can't see what's in front of you, how cumulatively that's going to build. That's how I think about it,
Totally. And that brings up another point for me, is like those times I've been in that valley phase, right? Where it's been something that sucked. It's been a job that sucked. It's been a time. I've been in such a rush in the past to get through those times, to get to the good time, to get to the peak of the mountain.
Yeah.
But like, people, if you're listening to this, like, just know you're going to learn so much in that valley, in that hard time, that you can be grateful for it. I mean, gratitude is a word thrown around a lot, like, just be grateful, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, what's your belief in, like, that situation? Are all things working out for my good? Well, then if it's something that sucks right now, I know that it's going to be good down the road. And so for me, I've really tried and implemented just being present, like you said a minute ago, in that moment of the thing that's challenging for me. But I know that there's some good coming outside of it, because everything's always worked out. Like, I'm still here.
Right.
The evidence I need is that we're literally breathing right now.
Yeah.
And that's the thing my son has taught me, being born, of how life is the most precious gift we have.
Yeah.
The gift of life, to be able to breathe, that's all that really matters. Of course, like, we want to change, and we want to change the world. And that kind of brings me to my next point of, like, most people, including myself, I've gotten really frustrated because I haven't gotten the results yet. but I've
Mhm,
always been a big dreamer, and I know you are as well.
mhm,
And it's
yeah,
like big dreams don't happen overnight. Like if
yeah,
you want to
indeed.
change the world, that's not going to happen in a weekend at a
Mhm.
seminar going to see Tony Robbins or whoever.
Right,
So
yeah.
how do you kind of temper that rushing, that frustration feeling and like stay present in the moment?
I mean, you just testified to this, but it's hard. It's not um, it's one of the, I think it's a moving target,
Yeah.
uh, because what what a moment will require of you will be different every time to stay present. You know what I mean? Um, I feel like the thing about dreaming is that you can look at dreams as this esoteric, um, intangible, you can't really touch it. But if you're looking at your life, and if you're present with your dreams, what I'm finding is that if I'm looking at my experiences as, oh, how does this point me to that? How can this experience point me to that thing that I'm not, living in right now, but where could I apply it? You mentioned gratitude, and I think one of the coolest things I've ever read about gratitude is that gratitude isn't some feeling of gratitude. It's gratitude is displayed in by your actions, by applying what you learned from those moments, right? If you're grateful for a tool you've been given, you use the tool.
Mm,
If you're grateful for something that was given to you, you pay it forward. It's when you don't have gratitude that you begin to hold on to things.
mm,
You don't use them, you don't leverage them. They just are existing in your world, dying and rotting. you know
mm. And that comes back to that reprogramming, right?
mm-hmm.
If we are programmed if our unconscious programming is I'm not good enough, for example,
Yeah.
everything in my life is going to prove that. And it's going to be really hard for me to be grateful. This is my
Mm-hmm.
experience
Yeah.
for things that come up. But
Yeah.
working on that reprogramming of what those words are, what is that energy that's underneath all of your results and everything that you've accomplished in your life,
Yeah.
then you can be grateful. Because I believe, like, for example, I practiced gratitude for years.
Mm-hmm.
5 minute journals, I have boxes full of them.
Yeah.
Well, kept repeating the same results because I didn't understand
Mm-hmm.
that this energy underneath was pulling me back. And it was the energy of worry, like
Yeah.
releasing any program, anything I was putting out there with a sense
Uh-huh.
of worry, like I have to do this. If I
Yeah.
don't do X, if I don't hit my goal,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to be good enough, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so in that term, we must reprogram, but it takes identifying first and foremost. You
Mm-hmm.
got to know what that is. And I believe that's the biggest challenge most people face is they don't know what's underneath the surface. So therefore, they're looking for that coach to tell them,
Yeah.
prescribe the formula, in
Mm-hmm.
order to hit where I want to go. Do you agree with that? Or does that resonate with you?
Yeah, it does. I think too that, um, this, coming from your athletic background and that world of relating to your mentors and stuff, that a good coach also, we talked about good coaches identify your strengths
Mm,
and your weaknesses, right? Um, they are able to see, um, what's a good way of putting this? So we talk about reprogramming. Um, they're able to take what they see in you and put you in a situation like you see players all the time who are failing, like they're floundering. They're in if you watch sports, and they go from team to team, and then they get on a team, and suddenly they like become productive. Why is that? It's two things, in my opinion. It's cumulative experience, right? It's that thing again. Things are adding up to whatever moment they find themselves in, but they also get to a place where that coach that they're put with, that coaching staff they're put with, has a vision for what they bring to the table, and they can put them in a situation where they can utilize those things,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it isn't always, it isn't, I really think that there is something to that saying, right time, right place.
Yeah.
I really do. Those the planets aligning kind of thing, you
Yeah.
know?
And I think it goes deeper than that, bro. And that's
Yeah.
the belief piece. That player, like I've always been fascinated. Take Tom Brady, for example.
Uh-huh.
How was he a second string quarterback at Michigan and becomes the greatest quarterback in NFL history at a
Mm-hmm.
higher level, right? Like common sense would say, if you're at this level in college, you go to a higher level, you're going to be at a lower level, right?
Mm-hmm.
He should have been just a backup, a guy who played a couple years, maybe got in a couple games, but his belief is what propelled him to do that. And I think about my career when I believed I could do it. Like I believed beyond a shadow of a doubt that I could play Division I football, and I
Mm-hmm.
played at West Virginia University.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't turn out quite the way I expected to, but that's
Mm-hmm.
my belief. That was what the expectation was I set. I did
Yeah.
not believe I could play in the NFL.
Yeah.
Now, I worked my tail off and got to the point where I almost had that belief,
Uh-huh.
but that energy of worry of not good enough was always underneath the surface. I never
Mm-hmm.
realized it, but
Mm-hmm.
I know that I had to go through that to do what
Mm-hmm.
I do now. So I'm grateful for it now. Didn't know it. Ignorance is bliss, right?
Yeah, yeah. But
And so, oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, do you think any of that has to do with um like has to do with being in a system long enough that you become a product of that system? So, one of the things that you talk about belief, you describe it as belief, but what you're really saying is that Tom Brady doesn't buy into, I was the 7th round draft pick. Like he doesn't, that's not in his mind. He's not, people talk about him uh having a grudge and a chip on his shoulder and stuff, but I don't think that could keep you going that long. Like I think that it's not just belief in himself, but it's also not buying into, well, a 6th round, me being a 6th round draft pick defines who I am.
Exactly.
The system of stratification of players doesn't define me as a player. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
And to add to that, I believe your belief affects other people's belief. Like you're
Mm.
going to attract the coach that believes in you because you believe in yourself.
Oh,
And
that's
then
good. Yeah.
also too, I believe that once you're in that system, that you get that belief, and it's
Hmm.
it's a tag team effort.
Hmm.
The sky is literally the limit. And
Yeah.
for me, I know my first year when I played arena football, I had
Uh-huh.
that belief because I was in gratitude. I was so grateful that I was just able to play football. I was playing for $200 a week.
Yeah.
I had my best season ever. And
Uh-huh.
my belief in myself, like there was guys who got cut from NFL teams and were coming in to take my position every week.
Uh-huh.
And I was just like, you know what? I don't care. I know who I am. And I
Yeah.
know what I can bring to the table. I'm just going to
Right.
go out here and have fun.
Yeah.
Consequently, I have the best season of my career. End
Hmm.
up getting a workout with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hmm.
Everything's great. And then that worry set in, that underneath energy
Yeah.
that I hadn't taken care of. Like I was
Yeah.
able to overcome it for a time, but
Yeah.
it would always circle back. And so
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, I think your belief in yourself will attract that person who believes in you. And you
Hmm.
might not believe in yourself in the moment,
Yeah.
but it's coming for that reason. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think
Yeah.
too, what you're touching on there with things continuing to come back around is important, because when people go into a coaching program of some kind and they have a goal, you mentioned them being fixated on that goal, how you were fixated on, this is my goal, I've got to get that goal. And when you do that, you become kind of what do they call it? I guess monomaniacal,
Mm,
where you're just you tunnel vision, right? And you're very narrowly focused on this goal. And the danger in that is that you don't see the upward spiral, right? You don't see that it's circles, it's not lines.
mm,
And so this goal that you've anchored yourself to, um, it's a carrot that's dangling, but it takes on bigger meaning than a carrot should have.
yeah.
Carrot just kind of keeps you moving forward a little bit, but if you've looked at it and it's now the whole track, you know, it's not good, and you end up right back in that cycle that you were talking about, because you're not seeing the cumulative benefit of each of those steps, those experiences. You're looking at the goal. So you lose that 40 pounds, or you lose that gut, you get the washboard abs, but you all the same dysfunctions that got you to that. It's
Yeah.
not, it's looking at the people. I've talked about this a lot, but people looking at weight gain as the problem. That's not the problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's a symptom of something else. It's a bottleneck, I like to say. It's a bottleneck. It's, you ever been in the car driving and you're stuck in traffic and you get to a point and you're like, wait a minute, why is there traffic? That never happens with the stuff we're talking about. There's always a bottleneck.
And to that point, goals are great. We must have a goal. We must have a direction, a North Star of what we're going towards.
Mhm.
But so many people, myself included, we say we have this goal. We want to get to Los Angeles and we're going to take this road to get there. And then
Yeah.
there's traffic on the road. It's,
Yeah.
it's a roadblock that's telling you, hey, there's probably a better direction, but we're
Right.
so dogmatic
Mhm.
in this is how I want to get what I want. I must stay on this road.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
road, it takes us a lot longer to do that.
Mhm.
Whereas a lot of times there's a detour right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And if we were a little more flexible in
Yeah.
how we're going to get to the direction we want to go,
Yeah.
that's the key, I believe, in that we must be clear on what we want and the direction we're going, but being
Mhm.
flexible. And that
Yeah.
takes the present piece, that takes the
Uh-huh.
humility piece, that takes the
Yeah.
being okay with it not happening right how I planned it.
Exactly. And I also think that I love the things you're touching on, because I also think it plays into the example you gave about Tom Brady. I think that the one of the big errors in our culture is that we look at other people's tracks to success and think that there's a standardized track to success.
Mm,
And so, whatever the goal is at the end of the track, um, you look at their success and you think the reason that they got there was because they were determined, and they were bound and determined to to go that direction and to make sure that they did it just like that. And the truth is that from an external view, that's what it looks like. From your vantage point, it looks like that. But rarely is that actually how it happens. Those people, usually what it is that they were dead set on doing whatever they needed to do to get there. The track is not, so looking at it as a path in front of you is the mistake. The path is made after you walked it. Right? You're not walking on a path that's just there and it's neat and it's, maybe there's a detour. It's not that. It's that you will lay the path. Everyone is their own trailblazer. If we looked at things that way, then we wouldn't get stuck so often.
yeah, it's kind of like
Yeah.
Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, where he's on the
Oh yeah.
stepping across the
Yeah,
big
yeah.
pit there. And
Uh-huh.
as he takes a step, the path
The
shows
path,
itself.
yeah. Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
I think the frustration is people want to know what the path is,
Mhm.
whether it's fitness, whether it's business, even
Yeah.
relationships. We just talked
Yeah.
about for the call. When
Mhm.
I let go of, hey, things have to be this way, because
Yeah.
I was so goal oriented. I was so, hey, I got to figure
Mhm.
out this formula to follow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And being okay that it's not going to look probably like you have in your mind.
Yeah.
But I'm just here, I'm present, because all we really have is right now. And I
Right.
believe
Yeah.
that's really the key, to be okay, to have that forward looking perspective,
Yeah.
be okay that I don't know how today's going to look.
Right.
That
Yeah.
I might have the most productive day ever, or I might
Uh-huh.
take a nap, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of acceptance that goes on with that. We were talking about forgiveness a couple weeks ago. And I think that, one of the things that I've learned, that I continue to learn with forgiveness, which is something that I've struggled with in my life, is not just the letting go piece that we talk about, and how you can't be fruitful if you're holding on to a bunch of dead weight.
Yeah.
But that forgiveness requires you to abandon or to accept the fact, or the notion of not being right. Right? Or being right and having it mean absolutely nothing. Because you can be right and still the person that's on the other end of that hurt that you've perpetuated is hurting, then what? Right? Or you can have been hurt. And if you are stuck in that hurt and holding on to, but I'm right that you really hurt me, you're never going to heal.
Mm,
Right? It's because and I think that's a big anchor point for people with forgiveness, is letting go of not just the charge against them or the sin against them or whatever, but the wrongdoing against them, but letting go of being right,
mm.
being and making it about the right and wrong part, letting go um, of each person having to play that role in the situation.
All right, so we're gonna have to do another call on
Yeah.
forgiveness because we're touching on this.
Yeah.
But if you guys want us to do another chat on forgiveness and how that frees you up to be who you're meant to be in your own
Mm.
life, drop it in the chat right now. Like, we want to be on that. But
That was smooth, man. This is like, I feel like that is radio skill right there. I'm gonna lead into it like a segue and not,
well,
leave it
that
hanging.
was unplanned. That was being in the moment, being present, right?
Right.
But yeah, man, like, I'll just say this, and I know we both got to jump on another call here in a minute.
Yeah.
I believe the biggest challenge that most people face is, okay, that event happened, that was
Mhm.
outside of your control.
Mhm.
Yes, you must forgive that person or that situation for that occurring to you. Because, like Mother Teresa said, forgiveness is drinking poison and expecting someone else to die, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But what if the key is, and this is the lie underneath the surface, that you must forgive yourself for
Mhm.
not hitting those 10 steps, hitting that goal,
Yeah.
not following the path the way you had designed it. Because
Yeah.
if you stay dogmatic again in, I
Mhm.
have to do this, then if you don't do it that way, that
Right.
brings in the shame, the guilt, those
Right.
energies that keep us stuck.
Yeah. And think about that though. That points to that black and white, that right and wrong thing. Because if I take a path that is not what I think is laid out in front of me, I will be wrong. Right.
Yeah,
And, what if I'm wrong?
yeah.
So it's letting go of that whole concept, because the path won't be proven until it's been walked.
Mm,
The what's in front of you doesn't mean anything. I always tell people this about statistics. When people tell me, oh, but 87% of people uh, feel like this when they take this or whatever. And I'm like, I mean, look, I think that stuff's great to start with, but the fact is, it won't mean anything to you if you're 13%. Like if you don't get results from that 87%, from that number, you won't care about it at all.
yeah.
you know?
Man, we're touching on so much stuff, dude.
Yeah.
We gotta reschedule, or not reschedule, rebook this again.
Rebook it, yeah.
But yeah, man, it's like, oh gosh, you got me so fired up. But it's like, that's where faith comes into play.
Mhm.
And faith is woo-woo to a lot of people, but faith is just
Yeah.
expecting something good to happen.
Mhm.
Fear is working in the same way. It has the same
Yeah.
power, but it's
Right,
expecting
right.
something bad to happen.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that comes back to that gratitude, knowing
yeah.
who you are, but understanding, is this energy pulling me back to fear, to uh, anxiety, frustration?
Uh-huh.
Is
Yeah,
that's what's underneath the surface? Because once we clear that up,
yeah,
then we're free. And
yeah,
that's what I believe true freedom is knowing who you are and
yeah.
living in that. Because when I know who I am, I'm not scared of your gifts.
Uh-huh.
I'm not
Yeah,
scared of so and so. There is no competition. The only
yeah.
competition I have is with me.
Right,
Am I going
yeah,
to show up every single day?
yeah.
So,
I
yeah,
love that,
man.
what you just said about some faith is expecting something good to happen, and fear is the inverse of that. It's expecting something bad to happen. I do think another layer of that is really just faith is expectation,
Mm,
and that people who fear actually have faith in, you know, in the negative outcome or whatever it is. That's where their
totally.
energy is directed. But I love the way you said that. I love that.
Well, we probably got to
Yeah,
cut this off because I feel like we could talk
yeah.
for another 5 hours on this.
Yeah, that's really cool. This is so much more fun than I expected, and I really thought I would have a good time. But
Hey,
this is cool.
we got to have these conversations, man. So if you guys have questions, drop those in the chat. If you guys want to connect with Daniel, I tagged him in this post as well. he's a fantastic coach. You focus on fitness coaching, kind of like myself, right? And but with more so of a spin on the mindset, all this other work that we're doing right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, I go in with
Yeah,
every relationship with every client expecting something good to happen, and what, no matter whether it's fitness or whatever, that's how I look at it. Like, okay, we're gonna get you to a place that you're dreaming about, that
yeah,
you know, will be better than the place you're at now, and we'll see what path we take.
I love it, man.
Yeah,
Well, I'll see you in a couple minutes, my dude, and
yeah,
let's rebook this thing again.
absolutely, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right,
Have a
brothers.
good
Yeah,
one. All right.
bye.